Ciao everybody, welcome to the comic book review. I rate them on these 5 categories. If it meets the minimum, it gets a star. If it gets a combination of 5 stars or pluses, that means I recommend it. And if it gets more than 5, that just tells you how much I like the book. If you like this sort of content, do the YouTube thing, and here we go. Ciao everybody. So I regularly watch Just Some Guy's video regarding comic book stuff. He seems to be a big fan, his opinions do come with receipts, and it's very well structured. And the pictures he has illustrating his views, basically his face stuff, from a non-verbal standpoint, makes it entertaining. He knows his medium, he knows what he likes, he does have interesting takes if you take the time to listen. And even though his critiques on the current SJW side of comics are valid, it can be a bit much at times, especially when it comes to politics. Long story short, no side is worth going all in. Politics is just basically armchair Monday quarterbacking. Now, moving on. So, when he brings up a comic that he is raving about, it shouldn't hurt to look, right? So, here comes in Kamen America. Several times he has brought this up as an example of how good comics can be. Supposedly, it's not preachy, it has great illustrations, it's fun, so I figured this would be at least the $1.99 on Comixology. Not sponsored, by the way. For 52 pages? So, the question is Kamen America written by Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini and art by Timothy Lim garbage? Okay, our first category, black and white / color. So, it goes without saying that Timothy Lim makes great pictures. The colors are bright and vibrant, it's fun, it's stylized after that anime manga style from Japan. It is definitely a Western take on it, though. You can tell because it is less textured than manga. This is simply because manga in itself is a mixed medium. You know, manga requires screen tones, which are just basically like sticker stuff, and inking with whiteouts, and then they make copies of it and they fix it, and overall it becomes a very layered piece. In the digital age, many manga artists still work analog, and this isn't as layered. And that's not a bad thing. It's just something I'm observing. So it's fun, it's competent, but it's not going to blow your mind. Star. Panels and expression. This certainly plays with the panels, and it definitely takes a leaf out of manga's book for the expressions of the characters. Though this version, I would say it's inconsistent. It starts off with very simplistic panels at the beginning and they become more expressive as it goes on. It almost seems as if the artist was learning as he was going, but the improvement in art and paneling does add to the enjoyment, so I'm going to give this a star plus. Characters and dialogue. The characters are just two-dimensional. They look great, but there isn't that much underneath. And the obvious stance regarding the author's views regarding the US government, traditional roles regarding gender, the media and corporation, and, the things that just some guy somewhat rages about, or at least, very least, disagrees when the big two do it. But when it's something he likes, it doesn't really matter. And that's what this is. But regardless of all that baggage, these characters do feel flat. We have the pretty hero, and that's all she is. And by hero, I just mean she beats things up, right? We have this sleazy corporate dude going after the agenda. We have the military, but the bad kind. And then, the overall attitude of USA, USA, USA. And then we have angry Ruskies and the angry hot Ruski. Um, it's for me, I just require a bit more to my characters and the dialogue. And speaking of the dialogue, very much like before, it's flat. It's just there. For this, I'm going to have to give it half a star. Themes and execution. Themes. Well, what themes do we have here? We have the whole be true to yourself, the media sucks, America is amazing, but we're going to ignore every bad thing that America has done. Being pretty is a good thing. Uh, it definitely does not have a very nuanced view of feminism because the view is that feminism is pointless. And the overall execution is just not good. Nobody likes to be preached to, and nobody likes people who makes claims without anything to back it up. Or at least I hope we don't, but then again, we do have flat earthers, so irregardless, nuance, this isn't. We certainly know what the author had in mind when he wrote it. At least it's kind of obvious. Whether or not this straw man point of view is something he actually believes in is something I don't really care to find out. Very much like the character and dialogue, this is just 2D, flat, and overall isn't competently done. This isn't a book to take seriously, and you know what? That's fine. You enjoy it, right? But it certainly shouldn't be used as an example of a book for any serious topic of discussion. It has pretty pictures. That's it. No stars on this category. Plot and execution. Likewise, the plot is pretty much non-existent. Things happen like a Michael Bay film. We have action set pieces, a quick speech bubble giving us the minimum amount of context needed, and we move on. You get hit with a meteor, now you have powers. Moving on. Dad is captured and we go to help, but we don't see the reunion with the said dad, and also the dad's no longer blonde, apparently. We fight a Russian hero, but we convince her because, hey, it's okay to do girly things. Not that it's not, but, you know, nuance this isn't. Uh, the plot is pretty much non existent. It has just as many plot holes as a Michael Bay film. What's happening to the monsters that are apparently made of this mud thing? What about the military? What about the mad scientist? Where did the meteor come from? Why are her powers all of a sudden at the end of this book are on a timer, right? Why would a girl who likes to make dresses go from that to being a superhero? Not that it doesn't happen, but we get no reason for it. Is it just because she's the good guy? And also, when did she learn to fight? Overall, just I can't give this any stars for the plot or execution. Okay, the conclusion. So, I am giving this 2.5 stars and a plus. Or if you want to interpret that as 3.5 stars, that's fine. My scale is if it hits that 5-star mark, then I recommend it. Anything above 5 stars is just basically telling you how much I like the book. And obviously, I don't really like this book. And the stars that it got was just regarding the art, which is good. Um, there are a lot of nice allusions, the literary term for Easter eggs, basically, to modern comics and manga, but this is what I would call a knockoff manga. Because you see this in a lot of Western comic book companies that attempt to replicate the style. And, you can get the people who can make the wild hair and the big eyes, though, that being said, in both Western comics and in manga, both have examples of nice bodies, but ultimately it's a knockoff. It looks something almost like a Christopher Hart and his how-to manga books. Even though this guy has not worked in that industry, I'm talking about Christopher Hart, him selling books on how to do this isn't the same thing as being published for that craft in Japan, especially if all you're doing is teaching people your pose or style. And this kind of has that same vibe, to be honest. Um, and the thing is, what Christopher Hart and the author of Kamen America doesn't understand is the literary part of writing these comics. Comics have just as much of a literary component as it does an illustrative component. Comics shine best when they are polished to the best of the creator's ability to do so. And this book has the intention of owning the libs, and that seems to be, in a sense, the main point. Own the libs, cash in on the style, and hopefully you're going to make some money. But doing so creates content that is just as empty as those quote unquote libs are making. Also, I kind of haven't. I kind of feel like I have to make a note about plagiarism here. Um, in that, how I define it in terms of this comic medium is that if you trace or copy someone's image and say that it is your own and you're making money off of it, that's pretty much stealing. Although style stealing, the internet says, it's debatable. But to that, I very much disagree. And if I had to use an example of style stealing, I would have to look at some of the other books that Mark Pellegrini and Timothy Lim has published. Specifically, these two other books, My Hero Macadamia and Trump Punch Man, right? The style is way too similar to Kohei Horikoshi's My Hero Academia and One's One Punch Man, though one would have to read the books to find out. And you know what? Maybe this can be chalked up to parody, but I really think that this should be looked into because it's way too similar. And if you're just going to make a parody of the thing, it's better to do it in your own style than ripping off, basically stealing, like established popular artists' style, right? And that's what they do in this one, in those two other books. But overall, concerning Kamen America, overall, I don't recommend this book. The art is good, but besides that, everything else is overly vapid. Theme, plot, character, it doesn't seem to be worth it. But if you want to take a gander at it, there is a $1.99 version on Comixology, which, if you want to take a look at it, I would say, get that and save your money from the $6.99 version, unless you really like it. And if anyone wants to tell me why the $6.99 version off of Comixology is worth it, simply based on the content of the book and not on the financial situations of the creators, please do so. I like actually learning new things. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. If you do the YouTube thing. Ciao, everybody. I hope you're having a good day